the sea at night, offshore Alaska. It was no longer an ocean in the conventional sense, but a thick, dark void where water and sky merged into one and all points of reference vanished. The winter monsoon winds howled incessantly, pushing heavy waves against the ship's hull, each collision posing a risk of throwing anyone standing on the slippery steel deck, lubricated by salt water and thin ice, off balance. Hundreds of pounds of steel blocks are dropped to the frigid seabed, slowly sinking into a place invisible and beyond human control. Their goal wasn't fish, nor was it a fishing expedition, but tons of snow crabs. Each pot release was a gamble of lives on the weather, on the machinery, and on human experience. Five big questions hang over that dark sea. What makes humans willing to venture into a place where the ocean almost always holds the upper hand, just to compete for a species of crab that lives in the coldest waters on the planet? The Discover, harvesting snow, crab. How fishermen pull tons of snow crab from Alaska. Snow crabs may not impress with their enormous size like king crabs, but their shape and biology are designed to survive in the harshest conditions. They have small, flattened shells and long, slender legs that allow them to move efficiently on the cold, muddy bottom, where pressure is high and light is almost non-existent. Snow crabs live at great depths, far from shore, mainly concentrated in the coldest waters of the North Pacific Ocean, where temperatures remain consistently low year-round, and even a small change can disrupt the entire population. Biologically, snow crabs mature very slowly, requiring many years to reach a size suitable for commercial harvesting, while their reproductive cycle is long and highly dependent on water temperature, salinity, and seabed structure. Their larvae float in the water column before settling to the bottom, making their survival rate almost entirely dependent on environmental conditions in each season. If humans fish out of sync for just a few consecutive years, snow crab populations can decline rapidly and take decades to recover, if there is a chance of a comeback. Therefore, snow crab is not only an attractive economic resource, but also a real biological gamble, where every exploitation decision carries the risk of jeopardizing the future of an entire species. Each ship that sailed out to sea carried only 5 to 7 people, but had to operate as a single body throughout the harsh winter. They worked 18 to 20 hours a day, sleeping fitfully amidst the noise of engines, the screeching of winches, and the constant pounding of wind against the steel hull. Under those conditions, the captain had no time to hesitate, for every decision had to be made in minutes: where to drop the pot, when to tow it, and most importantly, whether to leave or stay as the storm was forming on the horizon. Just one wrong judgment can ruin an entire fishing season, or worse, cause a sailor to never return to deck. Snow crab fishing is a direct confrontation between man and steel in unforgiving weather. Each crab pot, weighing between 600 and 800 pounds, is lowered into the sea amidst strong winds and high waves, sinking quickly to the deep bottom to await the crabs crawling into the cold darkness. When the pot is pulled up, the hydraulic winch is subjected to enormous tension, and even a slight misalignment is enough to cause the steel wire to snap back like a deadly whip. The decks of the ships were not only slippery, but also crammed with steel, ropes, and freezing seawater, where every step had to be carefully calculated. The rhythm of the snow crab season was determined by the weather, not by humans. Snow crabs move according to water temperature and currents, forcing fishermen to constantly change positions while winter storms can strike at any time. Arriving late, the pot is pulled up empty, meaning fuel is burned uselessly and the morale of the entire crew is low. Staying too long, the ship can be stranded at sea for days in strong winds and high waves where fatigue accumulates faster than profit. Therefore, each pot-hauling trip is not just a catch, but a prolonged struggle between man, storms, and their own limits of endurance. After the pot was pulled up and the deck calmed down from the storm's turbulence, the work was not finished. Snow crabs were sorted right on deck, in the biting cold, and on the steel still slippery with seawater, where every action had to be quick but precise. Only crabs that meet the required size are kept, because even a small mistake could cause the entire trip to violate fishing regulations and result in a complete loss of the harvest. The smaller crabs are released back into the sea, not only because of mandatory regulations, but also because of the understanding of the profession that populations can only survive if given the opportunity to recover. From the moment it leaves the ship's deck, the snow crab is no longer a trophy of the sea, but becomes a link in a larger industrial chain. From the moment it left the frigid deck, snow crab entered a completely different world, where waves and blizzards were replaced by industrial lights and the relentless operation of processing plants along the coast of Alaska. There, the crabs are steamed or boiled while still alive to preserve the natural sweetness of the meat, then quickly cooled, separated, the legs sorted, and packaged under strictly cold conditions to ensure consistent quality throughout their long journey across continents. In the factory, snow crab is no longer a creature that survived from the icy seabed, but becomes a cold, technical specification like weight, meat color, and the fullness of each leg, because even a small deviation can reduce the value of the entire batch. From here, snow crab continues its journey by plane and container ship, traveling thousands of miles to appear on the tables of high-end restaurants in New York, Tokyo, or Paris, where it is served on white porcelain plates, accompanied by melted butter, expensive wine, and refined rituals. Few diners realize that behind this opulence lies a path that began in nearly frozen waters, where people once risked their lives to pull these crabs up from the seabed, making snow crab a symbol of the stark gap between survival labor and luxury consumption. They are transported directly to processing plants on the shore of Alaska, where every pound of crab is weighed precisely, its origin recorded, and its price determined by the market. There, the fruits of many days of battling the waves and wind are converted into a cold number on the scales, bringing to a close the journey of the snow crab from the icy seabed to the scales of the seafood industry. A successful snow crab season can bring in millions of dollars for each ship, but those numbers only look good from afar. Behind the revenue lies the enormous cost of fuel burned hourly amid storms. Just one failed voyage can wipe out an entire season's profits, and several consecutive seasons without sufficient yields have caused long-established fleets to disappear from the harbors of Alaska without leaving a trace.
Careful up there.
In this industry, money isn't a reward for hard work, but rather a result of surviving long enough to sell the product. But it was precisely when snow crab became a major source of revenue that controversy began to emerge.
Zone. The young captain set 150 pots down south. Now, he's looking for a big payday.
Climate change is warming the seas that were once considered the biological stronghold of this crab species. causing snow crab to disappear from many traditional fishing grounds in a short period of time.
Big one. These crabs.
In some years, yields have plummeted so dramatically that it has stunned the entire industry, raising a question no one wants to answer. Is this a natural cycle the ocean has experienced many times, or the inevitable price of decades of overexploitation? If snow crab doesn't recover in time, is the responsibility due to the changing climate or to humans who have built up too much too quickly, while still believing the ocean is limitless? And if this crab disappears from the cold waters where it once rains, who will ultimately pay the price? The ocean or the very industry upon which it built its future? Snow crab is not merely a dish that appears on a lavish banquet table, but also the livelihood of thousands of people, a tradition passed down through generations, and the fragile boundary between human ambition and the ocean's resilience. Each season, when tons of snow crab are pulled up from the icy waters, the real question isn't about the profit figures or the yield, but about what we're leaving behind. Is this a sustainable model of exploitation that will allow the ocean to regenerate itself? Or is it simply a way for humans to borrow from their own future, shifting the risk to future generations? That is the question that every ship, every winter, and every plate of snow crab silently asks itself. Thank you for being with us to discover, in a journey of discovery into a world where profit, survival, and nature constantly clash head-on. If you want to continue following the stories behind the planet's most cutthroat industries, please support the Discover by subscribing to the channel and sharing the videos, so we can continue to bring you authentic and unbiased perspectives.